So let me see if I can show you a way to make your feeding station for birds 99.9% squirrel proof. I will explain the 99.9% a little later. Also, we will make it economical. In other words, I used to lose so many bird seeds to the ground because the birds are a little bit messy and they kind of flick those seeds around a little bit and they land on the ground. Underneath my bird feeder, it used to be totally black because we used the oil type sunflower seeds. Now, with the addition of a simple old tray lid from a garbage can that I've made, it is somewhat more economical because the seeds will drop into the lid and the birds then will fly into the lid and actually feed from the lid as well as the bird feeder. It is summertime here in Missouri and I only use one feeder plus a little feeder at the top, which for some reason seems to draw cardinals in. That is a 4-inch lid from PVC that I drilled holes in the bottom of to eliminate any water standing in that, and also I drilled several holes in the bottom of the garbage can lid so no water collects in there and the seeds pretty much stay dry. So first of all, to make it squirrel proof, I installed a 30-inch long piece of 4-inch PVC pipe. I put a lid at both the top and the bottom to keep it pretty much straight. You don't have to put it in the bottom if you don't wish, but this makes it look a little bit nicer. This is in the backyard, which nobody sees it but me and the wife pretty much, but it still looks a little better. The lid is from an old garbage can. It is 3 foot wide. I wish I could find one 4 foot, but I cannot. Of course, that didn't cost nothing because the lid is really old. I drilled a 1-inch hole in the lid plus 1-inch hole in the caps, both top and bottom, on the pole to make it squirrel proof. It is fun to watch squirrels try to climb this feeding station. They cannot do it. But the 99.9% I will explain is I left the ladder a little bit too close to the feeder when I was changing and checking their feed, and a squirrel went right up the ladder and jumped right into that lid. And my wife started laughing. She says, "Hey, look, you got a squirrel in the lid." I said, "That's impossible." She says, "Not when you got the ladder out there." So don't leave your ladder next to the feeding station. I use a ladder because my feeding station is a little bit higher than normal. You do not have to have it this high. I just do it because that's the pipe I had available. Here is a little closer look at the lid. I reinforced the bottom with a piece of wood, and as we go up, I will show you what happens. As you can see now, the lid will catch a lot of the birdseed. So it's not falling on the ground. I'm not wasting a ton of birdseed like normal. It was not impossible to go through 80 pounds of birdseed in a month during the winter months. Because it is summer, I only have one feeder out. Normally we have 4 on this post. Also, for the woodpecker's enjoyment, I do have a suet cake hanging on this feeder as well. This is the top of the feeder. It is nothing more than a 4-inch cap with several holes drilled in the bottom, and I use dowel pins for purchase. And now what I do is several times a week I will spread the seed out in the lid. That way it's much easier for them to feed. And now what I do is several times a week I will spread the seed out in the lid. That way it's much easier for them to feed. Also, to remove that top piece to get to that bird seed, what you have to do is you have to make sure that you have that on the top, because it's the one that's holding the bottom. And if you were to pull it off or try to fill it before putting it on the post, you're going to lose a lot of seed. Also, as you can see, they will clean that little 4-inch cap out pretty easily. I put seed in this once a day. To remove this, I simply pick this up like so. Oops. And when you feel there's no more usable seed in the lid, you just take the lid off like that, and you can empty it out wherever. You put it back on. Doing this one-handed kind of sucks. And as you can see, the mini hole I have drilled in the bottom of this lid. Also, I do try to move the seeds around so they're not underneath the feeder itself. That way it's a little bit easier to access the seed for the birds. As you can see, I reinstalled this, and now I put my 4-inch cap back on the top. And now with the cap back on top, I just simply fill it up. I gotta go up one more rung to do this. See if I can hold the camera steady enough. And that is what the white cap is for. Oh yeah, one last thing. Don't forget to put your ladder away, because the squirrels have no problem at all climbing that and jumping in that lid. By the way, one of the most important items I may have left out is this feeding station must be at least 10 foot away from limbs, from gazebo roofs, from shed roofs, and from tree limbs. 10 foot. A squirrel has absolutely no problem jumping 8 foot. What is, I don't want to say funny, but they have tried to jump from that limb right there, and they miss considerably, and it's just like a thud, boom, they hit the ground. They kind of look at the feeder in disgust and walk away. I kind of think that maybe it disgusts them that they can't quite make it. So again, the best rule of all is it must be 10 foot away from any area a squirrel can jump from. So please keep that in mind when you're doing your bird feeding. I also put a little PVC pipe on one of our other suet stations because the squirrels slide. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but it's funny. They will try to get into that suet cage, and they slide right down off of that PVC pipe. So that's kind of fun to watch. Not sure you can tell it or not, but we do also have several hummingbirds. They're kind of hard to see from this distance. Sorry about that.